So it's a matter of getting hold of when it just your first off is fine.
No chair over there.
That's what happened. Yeah. A lot of to me, that's the best result. I like the fact that underground parking, everything's there. That underground parking is automatic tornadoes and stuff. You got a good shelter. You got a car that's raining and dry. That's the other thing, every unit. So yeah. You can either break out. Hey, bad watch it sunset on the same river. Glass of wine. There were a few.
How many more days?
Yeah.
I'm ready to start. Mustard, everything. Oh. Later on, I see they have that.
3,600 square feet.
Yes.
Plan where why not?
Just looks like a fireball.
I get some money. Yeah, I guess some money. We had a couple of peppers. Great. Go there. I don't think you have to do it.
Say to them, there's a circle there. Nobody can get across. So they do
Oh, yeah.
My joke is, hangs on the bathroom door. I said, hold up, this is only a single seater. Seats. Okay.
Happy Wednesday. Thank you for being here in person and on Zoom land. It's great to see all the wonderful faces. If you'd all stand with us, please, we'll start the meeting in song with our good friend Bill.
This is not a love song today, this is a flower song. By Bob Wills. Anybody know who Bob Wills is? Yeah. Everybody's got gray hair and not too much hair knows who he is. Do they? We'll try this. Deep within my heart lies a melody, a song of old San Antonio. In dreams I live with the memory beneath the stars all alone. It was there I found beside the Alamo, enchantment strange as the blue of a moonlit path that only she would know. Still hears my broken song alone. Moving on, was only my heart. All I sang home. It's so sweet, like petals falling apart. The ocean of my own. Oh, the song you keep to live in my heart all alone. For that moon that had beside the Alamo and rose land. Those only my heart, it's so sweet and tender, like petals falling apart. Deep ocean of my broken song, deep inside, still live in my heart all alone. For that moon that had beside the Alamo and rose my rose. I forgot to say that was for Rudy.
All right, Rudy, you got thumbs up? Yeah, I didn't know anything about that song, sorry. First time I've heard that song, but enjoyed it, thanks. All right, lead us in the pledge today, new member Alex?
All right. Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're gonna keep rolling with Bill here in the invocation, because he does such a great job.
Bow with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day. We're thankful we live in a free country. We're thankful for the men and women who gave that freedom to us. We pray for our country's leaders, pray especially during this time of unrest with Ukraine and the Russian folks. Straighten this out and not have to go to any war. We ask you to be with us today as we learn more about Huntsville and what's going on downtown. Ask you to continue to bless us, always keeping in mind our motto of service of ourselves. Forgive us, Lord, where we failed thee. Give us a good week. For us in your name. Amen.
All right, go ahead and finish eating, we'll start in just a minute or two, thank you.
Oh, yeah, there you go. We're going out there next week.
You gotta get rid of his food, please. You got food, please? I'll go get some dessert and I'll help you that out. I'm doing well. You ever get to talk to Miss Sanderson? No rush. Tell her I'm still concerned about the virus. One of our old girls. And in there, it's not very contagious at all. Very good people. Still kills people.
Yeah.
No, no rush. Like I said, we got to figure out how to make this more organized.
Right now.
All right. Right. Yeah. I'm up on the roof shingling this. Again, the other house. Yeah, they just delivered the shingles this morning. So worked. Shingles off. Put some shingles on. Start blowing. Yeah. $38. Maybe looking like a piece of. Yeah. You're doing what lights out up here.
So much.
Oh,
Well, I just. By Zoom. They have about. Hey. Nice to meet you. My son here. I'm the one who's gonna take care of him. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I sure. And then I get a daughter. Real guy.
We've had as many people on Zoom as we've had in person. So
All right, we're gonna get this show on the road if you guys are ready. I'm excited about having our speaker Chad here today from downtown Huntsville. Like I said, it's great insights, things going on around town, especially everything downtown Huntsville. And as you guys all know, there's a lot going on, a lot of great stuff. So looking forward to that. We do have some upcoming speakers we're very excited about as well. So next week, the Orion Amphitheater with Ryan Murphy will be here. Again, that's really exciting. They're already selling tickets for May. Went online this past week and looked. They've got like a 3-day weekend that has all local bands. There's just one country singer I think is pretty popular. It's going to be part of that too. But it'll be 3 nights in a row that's all local folks. And then you get in some great bands like Dave Matthews and all kinds of good groups coming. Widespread Panic. I mean, this is going to be a great venue. So excited about that. We have Parker Griffith and Neil Lamb from Hudson Alpha in March. Backed by popular demand, we are rescheduling Joanne Perez for round 2 of her presentation. Felt like I would probably get impeached if I didn't schedule that sooner than later with the feedback I got. So we're definitely have that in the works as well. And Cliff has been great helping us line up some other speakers. We got a lot of great people in the pipeline. It's just getting the right dates scheduled for them. So if any of you think of somebody or a topic that's really awesome you think we should be hearing about, please feel free to reach out to me or Cliff, and we're happy to work on that and get them scheduled. All right, we had another fantastic ramp build this past weekend, changing the life of an individual that was near and dear to our hearts. It's a good friend of Nicole Coleman. Nicole's been a longtime member of this club, and this was somebody that she went to high school with, I believe, right, Cliff? And was it ALS she got diagnosed with? So being out there and being able to change her life and just see that impact and have that connection to the club was pretty special. Here's the crew having at it. We had a backup cutting man who did an admirable job. Good job, Roger. You always got to have a good cutting man. Will was there in support. And the team having at it. There's Paul handling business as he normally does and the rest of the crew. So And Bob, not even part of our club, but he's at every single ramp build, so thank you.
My neighbor.
Oh, was it your neighbor?
Was my neighbor.
Really? Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for bringing her too. And here's the finished product, with our individual right here standing next to Nicole, able to get out of the house and down that ramp and out to doctor's appointments and live a little bit more normal life. So, again, it just shows, just being part of this club, you're part of this impact that we're having for individuals in our community. So thank you for that. All right. Third time's a charm. We have to cancel the last. Third time, here we go. But this Saturday, is it this? No, next Saturday. I'm sorry, 2 weeks. A week from this Saturday, 9 o'clock, Veterans Memorial Cleaning. Looking to get a big crew out there since we missed last month to get our hands dirty and get that place cleaned up. First off, February, we're in week 3 of 4. So today you were to bring hats and gloves for first stop. And next week, we're bringing laundry and cleaning supplies. I'm sending you all an email each week around this, and it has some information about specific cleaning supplies that would be beneficial. And don't feel like that's all you can bring next week. If you've missed the other 3 weeks, we'll grab everything and bring it next week and bring all you can. But it's definitely having an impact. It's awesome to see Paul out there packing everything up and taking it straight to first stop after the meetings. And if you can't make the meeting, for those of you folks on Zoom, just give us a call or email, and we'll schedule time to come pick up items from you. All right, membership continues to move forward nicely. Please remember that all the membership options, there's a document on our website that talks through the options, as well as board positions and our service projects, as well as the application is on our website now as well. So please feel free to go there and send that to as many as your friends and family that want to serve others. We have some new member coordination emails going out this week. We're scheduling orientation for those folks that have not had orientation. We're trying to do that on Tuesday, March 1st. Most will be by Zoom. That way everybody can get there, not have to worry about schedules. And then we're going to start scheduling inductions for all the new members to get caught up on that. We're excited about that. And then obviously we talked about our new members and who else is ready to serve. Send them to our website, get them that application. Let's get those good folks in here. Rotary Social, the Havoc Hockey. I got to check my text message from Mr. Kloss. I think we have 8 left. Let me see here. We're getting
Seven, Chris.
7 tickets left. What else you got on that, Reed? Nothing. Okay. Well, you got 7 tickets. That's good enough. I mean, that means you've given out 93 so far. Rotary, we're going to have our banner at the social here at the Havoc Hockey, and they're going to announce us. And remember, this is in partnership also with the Scouts of America. And so the troops and packs that we charter will be participating with us, and they're going to be announced as well. So it'll be a fun time.
And you're buying.
And I'm buying beers. Yes, Reed. I will buy beers. It's on me. I got that. I wanted to talk about RILA. We had a fantastic RILA showing this year. And, each year we talk about RILA, but I'm not sure y'all realize, how wonderful that program is and impactful it is for the youth. Probably will send out an agenda to y'all so you can see what that agenda looked like this year. But when I saw the agenda for the first time I looked at it closely, dynamic speakers these kids get, they work on projects, service projects. They do different events, in terms of building team and getting to know each other. Won't recognize her. I'm going to ask me to recognize her, but that's Lisa Williams giving a talk to the kids. If those of you know Lisa Williams from here in town, was part of her club before. She's in what's the name of the band that she's in? Someone knows. Jedi is the name of the band. They play all around town. I think she's a polio survivor as well, an immigrant to the U.S., a business owner, and just a fantastic leader in our community. And those are the kind of folks these kids get exposure to. They do different events to build teamwork. And our own Reed Kloss's daughter Charlotte got an award for social media. What is it, Reed? Help me out here.
Social media ethics was one of they only made 2 awards and she got one of them. So
yep. So one of our representatives from the club, Charlotte, was able to win that award. So that was pretty exciting. And the kids did a little PSA here on a project that they're working on. We want to share with you guys. Oh, I guess I just need to press it one time.
We are ECHO, a nonprofit organization aiming to aid the deaf community.
Our goal is to raise awareness and funds for those in need.
This fair will have interactive activities for everyone to enjoy and learn from.
Our project organized the fair to inform and integrate with disabilities throughout Huntsville.
These fun activities will educate others about this community
And be fun for all ages.
These funds go towards our biggest idea, a bus to provide mobile ESL connectivity.
We can accomplish this with your help. Come to our fair on May 2nd and 3rd
at the John Hunt Park Championship Soccer Stadium.
We are Echo.
The project is Echo. You probably didn't hear the rest of that, or can see the closed caption. But it's a project to assist those that are deaf. And we'll send this link out to you guys so you can take a look at it. I'm not sure what the next steps are, but just need to see that through this 3-day, event with leadership and the youth, that they've already come with a project that can impact our community. So definitely Rotarians of the future right there. So that was awesome. Just checking to see if there's any other member announcements or information. If anybody in Zoom has any feedback for us, please remember we're still doing the facility rehab of Heels, so check with Roger, he can assist with that. And Jim is still looking for great board members to come in and serve and help us grow the club next year. Did I miss anything? Got my introduction. All right, with that, I'm going to introduce Chad. It's the shortest bio, but it's fantastic, Chad. I love it, man. You had a great picture. Chad serves as president and CEO for Downtown Huntsville, Inc. Previously served as director of city development for Montgomery, Alabama, as well as consult to over 30 different cities on downtown and urban redevelopment strategies. He received his undergraduate degree from Lipscomb University and his law degree from the University of Tennessee. He has 5 children. We were just talking about that, from elementary to college. Strong man, strong man. And they all live here in Huntsville. Chad, I've known him for a number of years since I've been in Huntsville, especially downtown and in the business community. And he is an avid runner. What's your goal for this year in terms of miles?
1,400.
1,400. Chad, thanks for being here. Let's give him a warm welcome.
All right. Keep going sun down. We're going to, instead of doing a PowerPoint, we're going to look at a couple videos and go to our website. I always enjoy, so Mary Grace back there, I always enjoy coming to my second favorite Redstone Federal Credit Union facility. Because if you've been to their downtown facility and been to the rooftop and saw the city at night, you're like, wow. But this is a great facility, and so thanks for inviting me. Encourage you to come down there sometime and check that out. Really wanted to update you all on what's going on downtown. We have so many new people coming into downtown and the city as a whole. Wanted to give you a couple of ways to explore downtown. If you have guests in town, we'll talk about our trail network, which we just revamped. But before we get to that, I really wanted to talk about the districts of Huntsville, which is something we've had for a while, but we've been updating it. If you've been to downtown Nashville, to the Nashville Sounds, anyone been to the Nashville Sounds before? You think like you're in downtown Nashville at the AAA baseball, but technically you're in an area called Germantown. Now, there isn't legal boundaries, difference between Germantown and downtown Nashville, what road creates that. It's not really official, but it's just generally a new neighborhood. Same if you've been to downtown Chattanooga. If you go on the north side of the river, you're in North Shore. If you go a little further south than the TVA buildings, you're in the south side, but you're really all kind of in the city center. What we've recognized here in our downtown, because we've had such exponential growth, that in addition to the core, which is increasingly not having any land available to redevelop, you're seeing development go out in all different directions. Now, about downtown, we don't have a river going through our downtown like a lot do, but we actually have a state park in the city limits overlooking downtown, 30 miles of hiking and biking trails, 7 minutes from my office in downtown. I consider that a real amenity. We joke, like, how many people like to look at a river? Yeah, a lot of people look at the river, but actually don't get on it. But we actually can walk on our trails right from downtown. And so to the east, you don't see a lot of growth downtown. That causes some of the pressure to the north and the south. But when you start looking around downtown, you see Low Mill you see kind of to the west, you see Low Mill and West Huntsville, Stovehouse, those areas. You also see the Merrimack Mill area. Then you see the medical district area. We'll talk about all these in a little more detail. And then to the north, the Lincoln Mill district. So one by one, we've started identifying where there's a lot of development pressure. We started to really share with people that maybe you don't have availability. If you want to invest in projects, you want to build a new hotel or new lofts or a new office building, maybe you won't have a ability to get it in the core of downtown, but you can still build it in one of the surrounding districts. Think about this. You get off at Governor's going east on 565. And it used to be the Brooks Motel, right? Who would have thought a Class A office building and nearly 300 top-level lofts are going in right there on Governor's, next to Stove House, which used to be an abandoned stove factory, which was just down from an abandoned middle school, which is now a craft beer campus, which is just not too far from an abandoned mill, which is now the largest private arts colony in America. Okay, so I think I've only been here 9 years now, but I think for a lot of people who've been here a long time, they're like, oh, no one would ever go to Low Mill for a concert after dark on a Friday night. And now concerts on the dock are one of the most popular things to do. If I would have told you you'd be drinking craft beer in the old Stone Middle Gymnasium, you'd have thought I was crazy. Or you'd be going over to the outdoor food garden, listen to live music and playing bocce ball at the abandoned stove house or the Martin Stove Factory, right? And you certainly wouldn't have said, I'm going to go stay at the Brooks Motel. Unless now you're living there or working there, right? Which is about to happen. So these things change, and a lot of times that happens in cities where there's a lot of demand. So let's scroll to the Lincoln Mill part of the tab there, and we'll show you a little video. As she's going there to Lincoln Mill, yeah, scroll down there and we'll play the video in just a second. If it didn't say Lincoln Mill, and if you were from out of town, okay, if you're moving here from FBI or Aerojet or wherever you're moving here from, if we were to play this video, would it look like an interesting place to live, work, and play? So play the video. Not stock photography from somewhere else. That all happened in the Lincoln Mill district. I think a lot of folks may have been familiar with Lincoln Mill. Maybe you went to Brooks and Collier to get some outdoor furniture, and then you left. But now some of the best French pastries made anywhere around are being made right there. Some of the most interesting, adaptively reused, if you want great doors, vintage windows, preservation company doing some amazing things. Jason will go over to Egypt and get doors and windows from Egypt and bring them back, and people get these kind of doors you can't get at Home Depot, right? Or Holtz Leather. I've got a Holtz Leather wallet in my pocket. You know, an amazing artisan leather company, Mad Maltz Brewing, and the list goes on and on. And so what happens is that's just, if, you know, as crow flies, less than a mile north of downtown. So it's in the surrounding districts there. And people are increasingly saying, you know what? I want to be near downtown, can't get right in the corner, but I want to put my business there. It's also a hub zone, so you see a lot of the tech companies there at Lincoln Mill. They're able to take advantage of that if that's important. And so that's just an example of when you have strong demand, it starts radiating outwards like it has in Nashville. You think about Nashville. Who's been to East Nashville? That's kind of the hipster area of Nashville. East Nashville is no more East Nashville, okay, than our West Huntsville is West Huntsville. Our West Huntsville goes out to I-65, right? East Nashville goes out to Mount Juliet, but that's the historical area of East Huntsville, and so, or East Nashville. And so one of the things you're finding is that some of these authentic places, you can't build Lincoln Mill anymore. I mean, you could, but just imagine what the cost per square foot. It's just amazing. Those windows, everything about it is just so incredible. That's where Dr. Von Braun's original office was, right? Before he was on the Redstone Arsenal. And so one of the things we realized is that in these districts, they usually have strong anchors. So people want to go there because you have Lincoln Mill, you have destinations like Brooks and Collier. Then you go over to Low Mill. Let's do Low Mill next. And Low Mill, obviously when the Hudson's created they took the old abandoned mill and turned it into, I don't know what exactly you call it. Who's been over to Low Mill? I assume most people have. It's kind of an artist colony, but we need to come up with a better word because it's got some of the best chocolate maker in there. It's Jeff Irons distilling some of the best, most popular bourbon and whiskey. It's a vinyl shop. Danny Davis used to work with NASA making some of the best mandolins made anywhere, right? The Black Crows come by their mandolins from Low Mill. And so there's lots of incredible things going on there, but it has that anchor. I actually live now over in Low Mill. You might even see me have a cameo in this video. So let's, again, take this from your, I've lived here for a long time. Low Mill is kind of a thinking, this is really happening in Low Mill. Does it look like an interesting place to live, work, and play? So, play the video. Pay for the videos, you get to put your Airville Terrier in it. So but again, take that whole idea out of there and just say, now someone would say, well, that's not my vibe, but it may not be your vibe, but I'll tell you what, as someone who has a sophomore in Alabama and his friends, they want to all get jobs here this summer, that's their vibe, right? They want to go to those places. And so if you love the idea, maybe it's not for you, but if you love the idea of your kids or grandkids moving back here because they're kind of tired of the rat race in Atlanta, things like that, these are the kind of things they're looking for. Okay. And so one of the things we have to recognize in our downtown, we have some great conventional Class A office space, but there's some people who want to work in the formerly abandoned Huntsville West Huntsville Elementary, which Brandon Cruz turned in this cool co-working type space. And so as you go around the entire area of downtown, we're making more videos. We're looking at the medical district. If you think about the medical district, I remember moving here and moving to Red Avenue. And most of the people on Red Avenue were rental houses, and they were nurses. And then the houses start getting torn down and these big houses being built. And now it's just crazy. And whether that's good or bad, it just shows you there's demand. Some people might say that's not a good trend. I don't know, because it has displaced some of the nurses that used to be able to walk to the hospital. But the point being, you go down Brandon Street and you'll see houses they're selling for a lot more money than the actual lot. There's a house in Low Mill that just sold. It's under contract for $507,000. It's across the street from an abandoned house. That house won't be abandoned too long. Just like across from my house, there's an abandoned house. The point being is these are transitional neighborhoods, and that's a good sign for our city because that means that people are wanting to grow, not just in a single area, but all throughout. And so medical district is so interesting because when Whole Foods came here, you would have thought Whole Foods, which is, probably at the time was one of the most in-demand things. To be a city, you needed to have Uber and Whole Foods and a couple other things for the young folks to think you were a relevant city. And now it's Trader Joe's, and Trader Joe's went on 72, where some people might have thought Whole Foods was going to go. But I remember they said is when they came and talked to me, like, okay, we're going to join as a member of DHI. We're a 501c6, like a chamber, so we have members. And I said, well, that's great. They go, we have one request. I go, okay, what's that? They're like, can you call us the downtown? Huntsville, Whole Foods? And I was like, yeah, we'll call you whatever you want. Because they're on Bob Wallace, and that's kind of downtown or medical district. But the point being is, they could have located everywhere. But think about that intersection of Bob Wallace and the Parkway, what it was just like 10 years ago. And now you have some of the most in-demand locations, the Whole Foods Plaza, the Times Plaza, the old Times, and then, you know, where Chewy's is and Char and all that. Demand is strong in the city center. And one way to experience all that demand, if we go over the Downtown Trails tab, put it on your table, yeah, just right there, just go about the trails, click on that. I put on our table our old marketing, so you'll be able to use that for, you know, kindling in your fire if you need to, because we're just releasing brand new marketing. We discovered that people, when they come to a city or they have guests coming in, maybe for a wedding or a graduation, they like a semi-guided tour. Okay, they don't want to have everything scheduled for them, but we found early on we had a really high concentration of craft breweries in the core of downtown. And so we said, well, what if we loosely connected them all? And so put them on a card so you can go, and the idea is you take your craft beer trail card and you get them at the craft breweries or the craft, now we'll talk about craft coffee and craft cocktail, but it started with the craft brewery. And so what you do is you get your card, and that's a free card to get. You're the first one. Get a sample, you don't have to get a beer, you can get a Coke, you can do whatever, but a lot of the breweries, people go for live music or for the pinball arcade or things like that. It's not all, even if you don't like beer, a lot of people go to the breweries. And you get stamped, and once you get them all stamped, we would hand you right there, one of these openers, a little opener there. Now we're switching them to pint mugs because no one really uses bottles anymore to open. They all use cans. So the whole idea is it gave people a little guided tour, sometimes with their friends. We saw a lot of the young professional groups from Lockheed or from Boeing. In other words, like, oh yeah, we're going to do this over the course of a month. We're going to eat every Thursday meet and knock out a couple of stops. At the end, you get your swag. Well, that was so popular that next thing you know, we had a craft, so it started off as craft beer. Let's go to the craft cocktail trail. If you go to the top, scrolling up to the tab, and you'll see craft cocktail. And so the real simple concept here, craft, I'm sorry, coffee. I misspoke, my bad. There's too many alliterative words there. And so you scroll on down, and here's a map, scroll a little bit further. And so here's a little bit further, please. And you'll see the 11 locations. So it's real simple. You can print this off online, or you can take it there. We went with coffee because we realized, first of all, that opens up to teenagers who are not up 21. But also some people just would rather, experience it in the morning, go on a Saturday morning. And I know a couple that did the trail. Every Saturday morning, they'd get up and go with each other and get a pastry and coffee at a different one of these for 11 straight weeks or whatever. And at the end, they got a mug for free. And we love the process because you can go there, and it's not like a lot of these trails. We've been on some wine trails or bourbon trails where you get finished and you send in your card and $7.95 shipping and handling, and one day something may return to you in the form of swag. This is the world of instant gratification. So he says, as soon as you finish this, the last place you finish it, they hand you your mug right there. You walk out with your mug. And you don't have to give this up, because this is funny. We first said, we'll turn in your card, we'll give you that. And they're like, no, we want the card. That has all our memories on it. We usually put some notes, what we liked, and things like that. And so it's just a great way. If you have guests in town, or if you have a friends group, I know Rotaract has done this before, some of their folks, and you just go experience. Because what you find out with craft beer, craft coffee, and craft cocktails is when you go to those places, you often meet some of the most interesting people, most creative people in your city, wherever you are. A lot of people working at a lot of the brewers, a lot of the baristas, a lot of the mixologists. They're just really interesting people. And so people really get a good sense of what a city looks like that you can't really get by going to BJ's Brewhouse or Gordon Biersch or Connors, right? Those are all great places for their purposes. But when you go to the Elixir, Stella's Elixir Lounge, or you go to SIP or things like that, you're going to get a real sense of a local destination. And so we realized how popular this was. I mean, anyone guess how many cards we gave out since we started this about 5 years ago? Yeah, close to 10,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like the city of Hartsville, right? Going and visiting the trail. And so, what's that? Well, the funny thing is, that's a really good question. But 10,000 cards, most people don't complete it. So we probably given out about 1,000 of the swag pieces, because what happens, people get started, they're in town, they don't get to finish it, but for them, this is the souvenir anyways. They're like, oh, I had the card. I remember I was in Huntsville at so-and-so's wedding or so-and-so's graduation. We knocked out a few of them. Maybe we come back. I'll put it. They never remember it. But the whole point is they were able to give a little self-guided tour. And so it got to be so popular that we decided to kind of revamp the trail. As you can see, this was a little bit of homemade. I know Mary Grace is in the marketing, some people may be in the marketing. This is kind of a little homemade. It was nice enough, but we realized that, you know, we really need to do the best of the best. We like to say in downtown Huntsville, if we're going to do something, we want it to be best in class. It may not be the biggest, it may not be the largest or most expensive, but if you take like the new 106 Jefferson Curio Hotel, anyone been down there yet? Right there in downtown. If you were dropping in Bucket, it looked like it fit, right? If you go to Domain South, and you drop it in Virginia Highlands in Atlanta, or drop it in a cool part of Nashville, it would look like it fit. And so we really work with our entrepreneurs so it's best in class. Talk about, I mentioned, joke about the Redstone building. You could take that Redstone building downtown and put it in any city of any size. It'd be cool in Seattle, right? It's just a beautiful building, lit up at night, great venues on top. And so that's what we talk about. It's great in our downtown that people usually strive to not just do good enough, but to do things great. And so we decided we need to keep that trend. So we worked with a design firm and created our new design. So if you want to experience the new trail, you can take these cards. They'll still honor these cards, but the new stuff is coming out this April. And we'll have brand new swag. So if you've done the trail already, you'll get new swag and we'll have new experiences. But it's a great way to introduce our amazing city center to your friends, families, guests from out of town, or just a group of your friends. So with that, I'm going to leave it for some questions. I wanted to give you a sense that, you know, a lot of great things going in downtown in the core. That's a whole, you know, presentation in of itself, and I'm glad to answer questions about that. But just be aware that all surrounding downtown, the growth in the core is spreading out like concentric rings on a tree, and it's really populating some amazing areas. It's hard not to go to Low Mill and walk around and just like blow your mind about how many creative people are in here doing creative things, or sit down at Straight to Ale at Campus 805 and just be like, wow, this is so interesting. The bar's made out of the old gym floor. That's really clever, right? And so that's the kind of thing we do in Huntsville. We take old things that have been abandoned and turn them into new, interesting things, and we do that really, really well. So what questions y'all have about downtown or any of the districts or the trails? Yes, sir.
Is there any plan to link these areas like trolley car or greenway or something so they can connect?
Yeah, so a lot of it is right now from the north side for Lincoln Mill, there's bike lanes. And you can basically get from Oakwood and Meridian, roughly where Lincoln Mill is, all the way down to the new Chick-fil-A at Governor's and Lowry Boulevard, either on a bike lane or a greenway or a super wide sidewalk. Call them super sidewalks. They're the ones that are like 12 foot wide, so they feel comfortable to walk on. And so that level of connectivity, and then we've started going out to Campus 805. There's bike lanes and running lanes on Clinton. Still, when the new Coke site gets redeveloped, they'll be extended all the way into this core there. We also know that a lot of people experience our city through Uber and Lyft. We have a really super high Uber and Lyft usage. A lot of people who are coming in just say that it's small enough to walk around the square and things like that, but a lot of people say, if I live at a loft at the Avenue, I'm gonna take an Uber over to, you know, Low Mill for the concert that evening. Yes, sir.
Does that include renovations to the stars?
So that's not quite downtown. That's a little bit further south. It's kind of there's the South Huntsville Business Association, which really picks up stuff around Martin Road. And then we kind of advocate down to about Bob Wallace. So there's a kind of in-between area. But we're actually, I've been working with John Hamilton, the city, on that project, just, you know, kind of lending some strategic advice. And that's going to be a pretty big announcement coming up regarding professional soccer in that location. And it's going to be amazing. It's probably going to be one of the most important professional sports announcements in Huntsville in a long, long time. Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what the construction is out by the stove place out there on Governor, and also the one at Lincoln Mill?
Yes. So what's going on at the, when we talk about the Brooks Motel site, you know, we joke about that. That is a company out of South Carolina, the Beach Company, and they have the first building when you're off the interstate is a new Class A office building. It's called the Foundry. And then the rest of those are a mixture of uses, mainly multifamily rental. Lofts is what we call them. That's, you know, apartments, but downtown you call them lofts because it sounds better, right? And so rental lofts. But you see also on some of those ground floors, they're gonna have some shops in there. So eventually, when Thompson Tractor relocates, you'll be able to get from that very first building all the way down to Stovehouse, and then the city took Hall and just basically improved some wider sidewalks, then to Campus 805. So you'll be able to get essentially from, Salty Nut Brewery all the way up to the Foundry on this nice walkable area there. So that's what's going on there. And then what's going on the other side of the railroad tracks on Dallas in Lincoln Mill are new lofts there. So again, people probably, a lot of them want to build lofts in downtown, but there's no more space. Now you say, well, there's space there. That space has been spoken for. This project hasn't started, for example, on the Coke side. So there are a few available spaces, but the city is very carefully not developing a couple of sites, for example, the Huntsville Utilities parking lot. That's been identified as one of the most key sites in downtown that will be redeveloped eventually. But we're really waiting. That's going to be a signature office tower mixed use project. At some point, someone like a Facebook or Oracle will come say, we need 10 floors in Huntsville. They will. That's what's happening. These tertiary markets, they don't just have headquarters anymore. They have headquarters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and headquarters 6. And Austin has 15 floors. And so that'll be a site for that type of growth. Yes, sir.
Out on Meridian, where they've redeveloped the old mill there, what percentage of that space is already leased? I know it's considerably newer than Lincoln Mill as far as the redevelopment is concerned.
Lincoln Mill or Low Mill? Lincoln Mill's on Meridian.
Yes, it's considerably newer than.
Yeah. So Lincoln Mill was around for quite a while.
Yes.
Two gentlemen, Jim Byrne and Wayne Bonner, updated, so it's mainly office. And so there is some office. It's been a hub zone, so and it's close to downtown, so that really helped. And then the core of downtown was a hub zone as well, and then it's losing that designation. But this one is still keeping, so people who want to be near downtown in a hub zone, that was a great location. Wesley Crunkleton and his development group came in and are revitalizing that. The office space is pretty close to being fully leased, and that's a huge building. There's a couple of spaces left. But what's happening in the Dye House in the front, that's where they're putting in 2 new restaurants. That's where Iron Tribe is going, another workout facility. So it's gonna, they kind of joke, don't cite me on this, but they kind of joke, it's like Stovehouse, but you won't have a soccer ball end up in your drink, right? And if you put the Stovehouse, you know what I mean, right? And that's fun, but it's like, so kids will be allowed at Lincoln Mill, they won't be, but sometimes you're sitting there at Poorhouse and all of a sudden one of those little soccer balls comes flying by your head and you're like, okay. Some parents just kind of, I wonder if they actually stay. I think they stay, but I feel sometimes kids get dropped off at Stovehouse. The parents disappear for a while. Yes, sir.
Huntsville seems to have a lot of billboards, and there doesn't seem to be much constraint on that. So is there any talk about that?
Most of the existing, I don't think there are many new billboards being built. Most of the existing ones, it's a whole, I'm a recovering attorney, so the property law, actually, it's a property law. So I will say there's a concept called vested rights. So removing existing billboards is really, really hard to do, but preventing new billboards. So by and large, I don't think you've really seen, I'm trying to think if there's an example of new billboards in Huntsville, but the existing ones will probably be there. They probably, I would be surprised if they leave. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned Monsanto, the trails and downtown, I like all that. But to get to walk from Monsanto down to the Big Spring, you have to go through this neighborhood 5 points. Are there any plans to develop anything in the 5 points here? Because a lot of the businesses are kind of becoming vacant, and it seems like it'd be a good area.
I will say there's about to be along Pratt there, where Lamar has had their offices and the Damsons had a small office there. There's going to be a major project announced soon. So you got a section of Pratt's going to be right basically near Goldsmith Shipment Field. And then going down Andrew Jackson towards Oakwood and 565, that's going to be the next corridor you're going to see there. There is some historical restrictions in some parts of it, but most of the parts where you're going to see the redevelopment, there aren't. But I think really that access, if you go east on Pratt and turn left on Jackson and went north on Andrew Jackson, you're going to see that whole area. It's already, if you go back in there, it's one place we run. It's amazing how much stuff is being renovated, but the old Mario's building, things like that, you're going to see a lot of that change pretty quick.
But I want to hear from you.
Yes, it will. Yes, ma'am.
What is it? Drake, near the Temple Gardens, right next to 565. Huge development.
Kind of picture, I don't have. That's a little bit further out than,
It's not really downtown, I
Yeah.
realize.
are you talking, I guess I'm not really familiar with where you're, Drake and 565?
Maybe Bob Wallace.
Yeah.
It's Bob Wallace and 565.
Where Landry's was.
Oh, I knew they're building a new hotel there.
Yeah,
They
it's a new
replaced
Holiday
90 of
Inn
the hotel.
Express.
Then what you see at Space and Rocket is they're building a new, basically complex for space camp there. So that's what the crane is there. But that's about all I know. It's what I read at nail.com. Any other questions?
The old city schools administration building, that's kind of downtown area.
Yes.
Something going on there.
One of the most in-demand things that we have that's just not available here there's not a lot of rental lots either. Some of the waiting lists are actually closed down because they got so long, but are fee simple to buy a condo in downtown. There's really just a couple of buildings where you can do that. And they're completely, those sales never get even listed. They're just kind of a pocket transaction. So the old Annie Mertz facility, when the Huntsville City Schools moves out of there to the Builder Square site on the north side, then what you'll find is the historic part of that building, which is beautiful, will be renovated most likely into really high-end luxury condos that you'll be able to buy there. And so, and some people say, well, you know, they're going to cause a lot of traffic. I was like, no, actually, there'll be fewer people because you're going to have these really beautiful condos that maybe 2 people live in versus the whole school system, which is all compact in there. And you'll probably see some ancillary development on what's now the parking lot for the school system. But that's all governed by the historic commission. And so that'll have a lot of checks and balances when it comes to making sure it looks beautiful. But yeah, you'll be able to, and that's nice because you can live there if you want a lower maintenance lifestyle. You don't want to deal with the yard, you know, deal with this kind of stuff. You can live in a beautiful condo there and then just walk down to Green Bus Brewing or Commerce Kitchen.
You hit on a good point. There's a ton of multifamily rental apartment units going in all over town. But you're not seeing a lot of condos that you can purchase. Will the Coca-Cola site have any of that, or Constellation, or is there a reason why more folks are doing the condo option?
It's a lot of it's financing right now. Those in the banking world here, the lending world, I should say, because there's all kinds of alternative lending options. It's just easier. It's more quantifiable demand. Usually with the condos, you have to pre-sell them. And so it's just a little bit hard to do and get the loan for that. Whereas you don't really you might pre-lease 60 days out a loft. And so there's a lot of demand for that, but it's just a harder transaction typically. So you'll see more of that, but I think you'll continue to see there might be some at the Coke site. There will not be any Constellation. Those will all be rental. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question from Zoom. It says, does Downtown East have groups of business members? Do they meet regularly? And is there a cost to join?
Yeah, thanks for asking. We're a member organization, Redstone. The question was basically, is it a membership organization? And so like Redstone Federal Credit Union is one of our members, so we'll have member briefings. You'll see Mary Grace. We're starting those back up next month. So John Hamilton come speak to kind of like we do here. We usually have a speaker each month come in, or we invite our members. So if you've known what a chamber membership is, we have a smaller group because the chamber is countywide. We're focused on downtown, but we also have, it's interesting, Dynetics is one of our largest members. I was like, what does that have to do with downtown? But when you talk to their leadership, they're like, hey, even though people may be working here, if we have a cool downtown, our HR people say it's a lot easier to recruit them here, right? And so that's why when we say is, can you think of a dynamic growing city that doesn't have a dynamic growing downtown? It's almost impossible to do so. When people are saying they're going to Austin, right, taking a job, they're talking about downtown Austin. They're not talking about the suburban shopping mall on the north side of Austin. I mean, there's fine, but you have all those places, but they're talking about going down the 7th and listening to, Texas, Austin city limits and drinking cheap Texas beer and eating fajitas, right? Like that's Austin. Or they're talking about Chattanooga, they're not talking about Hamilton Place Mall as much as they're talking. All of those other areas, we need to be strong. That's why I think Mid-City, I think that's why what's going on at Hayes Farm, all that stuff is important because you don't need just one strong part. But almost every dynamic growing city, in fact, every dynamic growing city, if you look at the list, the highest, most demand growth part of that city is in the city center. And so that's why the mayor and them stood us up a while back. So maybe time for one more if there's.
Can I ask you one?
Yeah.
You mentioned the cities out there, mostly out of San Antonio, Chattanooga, where they had waterways downtown. Years ago, I picked on Tommy Battle about why not turning Huntsville back into like the Venice of Alabama. We have those canals. I understand there's some work going on at the intersection. Right? Is there any thought at all of taking advantage of the existing canal space? Possibly put in lots?
This was a topographical, and it's been described to me as by people who engineer water things. Some of them maybe you. It's when those things, when you have a bunch of rain that comes down Montesano, it fills those things up, but otherwise it's usually not a free flowing of water. And to make it free flowing, you have to balance well, you don't want too free flowing because when you want that water to be absorbed coming off Montesano in those big storms, but also it's just it'd be a major engineering feat. So right now, I do not anticipate that. I think what you see, you'll have a little river walk, maybe along Pink Hook Creek and things like that. But, glass half full kind of guy. I'm like, okay, a lot of cities you can go. I was in Montgomery for this. You go to the river and look at it. You go to the mountain and be on it, right? Because a lot of people, some people will kayak, maybe get a riverboat, but realistically, people look at water, put on trails, they'll get in those trails, maybe go over to Wildflower Trail. The beauty is, 3 of the trailheads you really access from at the base of the mountain in Blossomwood, Claremont and Wildflower and 3 Caves. So it's even don't even have to go all the way up. If you want, you can go up and come back down if you want. So, all right, I have a little giveaway here. I'm going to give someone a swag, so a coffee mug. Whose birthday is closest today? Anyone birthday today? Any within this week? No one was born in February, apparently. Anyone this month?
The 24th.
What's that?
24th, back here.
Okay, you get a mug, and who's the next closest? Anyone else in February birthday? Okay, let's go first week of March. All right. I'll give you.
February 24th.
All right, you get a mug. You get one of our openers. All right. Oh, I know you and Penny will use this. So there you go. All right, thanks, everyone. Thanks.
I think Chad kind of pointed out a failure of mine. I haven't done a good job of recognizing birthdays in a while, have I? 8 birthdays this month. We should know. Is there anything, anybody on Zoom, any other questions or feedback or announcements? I failed to cover guests today, so Rudy, you do have a guest today. Would you like to announce, please? Thank you.
Bob Ward and I met at a video teleconference with Sickness with Paul, and I saw the passion that he had about serving. And I said, you got to come to our.
There you go.
You got to come to our club. Very flattering.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. All right, with that, let's stand and do it. Yeah, Billy.
We have a visiting Rotarian?
Yes, we do. I'm sorry. Joe, I feel like Joe's part of our group now. He's our Houston contingent. But Joe Ridley's here with us today. Joe, nice to have you. And one last announcement I do have. Sorry, Nicole, you're so upset. It's giving you a workout. We're making some good progress on our Uganda school. I want to appreciate Billy has jumped in and led that project over the past couple months. They went out and visited their team from that sponsored club that we've been working with and trying to get them engaged. Visited schools this past week and seemed very engaged. We're moving that project along. So thank you for that, Billy. I appreciate it. All right, now with that, let's stand and do our 4-way test. All right, all the things we think, say, or do. First.
Is it true?
Second.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third.
Will build goodwill and better friendships.
And fourth.
Will be beneficial to all.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being Rotarians. Have a great day, guys.
So Johnny, Michelle's buying a house for Progressive.
They're under contract.
They got it under contract.
They got it under contract. So, they closing on the 25th.
I could move it.
Yeah. I think they had a house under contract that fell through, whatever. All that. They're making progress. I watched, ball.
Last night.
Yeah.